We are back. 20 minutes are in the books. Columbus leading. Flyers 1-0. This is the number 1 rated pregame, intermission, postgame show. So the Olivier goal for Columbus puts them up 1-0, and we talked a little bit. There were a couple bad turnovers. I thought Morgan Frost in the neutral zone, and then Drysdale trapped in the corner, couldn't get out of the zone, and Columbus capitalizes.
Yeah, and before we get to that, I wanted to bring this up because in case you were with us pregame, we lost the feed because Russ accidentally knocked us off.
I put in the comments, it was an act of defiance by Russ on his way out.
Russ, just so everybody knows, Russ is gone. We can all smile now.
Yeah, we can all have a real conversation now.
You think he's listening to us in the car right now?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'm sure he is. No, but the point is that I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that we didn't just turn it off on.
It wasn't
on
my
purpose.
fault this time.
No, it was not. Anyway, yes, you're right. There were 2 turnovers on that play. Well, not that specific play, but Morgan Frost has the puck at the other end, in the offensive end, and I think he has a chance to either dump it in or make a pass, and took the puck back out of the zone and then try to make a pass through the neutral zone and turns it over.
Yeah.
Right. So that starts the Columbus rush.
He gets himself in trouble.
That starts Columbus down the other way, and then the Flyers get the puck in the corner. It's Jamie Drysdale who gets pinned in a little bit, tries to dump it out, turns it over at the blue line, and then Columbus comes down, and then Urson makes what I think is a bad play. Bundy coming way out of his crease. Overcommitment, right? Yeah. And that sets up an easy goal for them. So, yeah, the Flyers get running around because of the turnover. I mean, that's obviously not good, but the goalie's got to stay in position there. And if he does, then he can be in position to make a save on that Olivier shot, whereas you can't rely on a defenseman to kind of get in the way and hope that they block a shot coming in from the circle.
What happens when the goalie comes out of the net, that's when all chaos ensues.
Yeah.
And that's where everybody starts to scramble, because what you're doing is you're trying to cover up the part of the net where the goalie's not available.
Right.
Because what happens is they switch sides, right? Tried to make the move on the short side. He came way out, able to get around to the far side of the post, and that's where the empty net is. And that's why all the chaos comes. Well, you see guys looking around. They don't know where the puck is. And the one guy who did was the one facing that, Matthew Olivier. 9 goals. For a guy
stunned.
like Matthew Olivier. Yeah, it's because he gives himself a ton of room out there.
Yeah.
That's why.
I kind of thought he was kind of back end of the lineup kind of guy, kind of a little bit tough guy, right, for them. And I'm like, 9 goals. I was a little surprised by that total.
By the way, Berkey added that Morgan Frost had a bad penalty earlier in the game. I didn't see it. Did you think it was a good call?
It was, to me, I thought it was one of those plays that you probably don't call a penalty. Because, technically, does Frost initiate the contact? Yes, he does, but both players could have been called for interference. The plays, it's away from the puck. Neither player is involved in the play, and they collide. And, yes, Frost kind of skates into him a little bit. So, to me, it's one of those ones you probably don't even call it.
I think, and that's what we said, you and I. We're like, that's one. I don't know why you call one, but it should have just been a no call at all.
Right.
But, again, Frost still, Frost gets himself in these positions, man, where you're just not going to, he's not going to find a way to have the coach endear himself anymore to him, making plays like that. And that's the reality of Morgan Frost here. I've defended him for a couple of years. I think there's something there, but man, he keeps making those decisions to make things hard.
He's a guy who needs a change of scenery.
He's a change of scenery, right? Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, yeah. I thought, to be honest, Bundy, I thought that the start of the period was really good for the Flyers. They seemed to have good pace,
good start,
good structure. I would say the first 7-8 minutes of the game, even when they had to kill the penalty there, I thought they killed it really well, and they had a couple of really nice extended shifts in the offensive zone. Noah Cates' line yet again was pretty solid for them there. It's just kind of it got away from them a little bit, and then they kind of you had the mistake on the goal, but it just kind of like they didn't have that whatever oomph they had to start the period. They didn't have it in the second half of the period.
They did not. You're right. Story of 2 periods for the Flyers. First 10 was great. Second 10, Columbus got their feet under them a little bit. First 5 minutes was a feel-out, but I thought the Flyers did a much better job of it. And they, as you said, Anthony, they killed a good penalty, but they're disjointed right now. You can just tell there's a couple guys that are on and a couple guys that are playing with those guys that are on are not.
Yeah.
And that makes it a very disjointed-looking effort for the Flyers. They're not all in sync together, and that's why we're seeing the kind of hockey we're seeing right now.
I'll ask. Let's throw this Brandon Fakar question out because I think it's one worth asking. Open question: is this a well-coached team?
You know what? I'm going to answer that question for you with a straight yes.
Yeah.
It is. It is a well-coached team. You know, you can say what you want about Torts, and I'll be the first to say I don't believe I'm a long-term fan of him. I'm not. But he has done exactly what we said he'd do since the beginning of the year. John Tortorella, however you like this, whether you like it or you hate it, is going to get his team 7 more wins a year, 14 points more than, that's the number I'm given, than they are capable of actually accruing on their own. So I really think that that's a situation where the team has been well coached. They're in the thick of things. I know it's been a rough go of late, but John Tortorella is the reason why this Flyers team has been even approaching the playoffs last year. Was a miracle running this lineup out every single night.
Yep, and as Mike Butts just said, very well coached. The talent is the problem.
Correct.
Do you think he's a better coach than Laviolette is right now?
He's a different coach. John Tortorella coaches the defensive aspects of the hockey game that are so important, right, to make sure guys are buying in. Lavi does not. He just wants you to thrive offensively, and when you are, it's a beautiful-looking thing. But when it's not, and the Rangers are playing, though they won last night, we'll see if they come out of it. They beat Dallas on the road, which is a big win for them. But we'll see what the Rangers have to offer. But when you don't have a defensive structure, Andrew, your team's in a lot of trouble. And the reason the Flyers have their heads above water most times and why they're in the thick of things is because the coach gets them to play the way that they're supposed to play.
Isn't it interesting, though, that Lavi was a defenseman and eschewed defense as a coach? Like, basically said, screw it, just go out there and be offensive.
Yeah, and he was a defenseman. He was like a depth defenseman, no matter where he
was
played.
an AHL defenseman.
Yeah. He was Captain America, I remember, on the Olympic team in '94.
Yeah.
Who played against him.
Yeah.
But I think he was like the 7th defenseman on the Olympic team. And the captain.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Eric Berkey pointed that out. Did you see that boarding penalty by Rempe last night in Dallas?
Yes. That was a throwback to 20 years ago. He literally jumped 2 feet in the air to hit a guy from behind.
Oh, my God.
Did you see it, Andrew?
I haven't seen it.
You got to see the video. It's unbelievable.
Nothing will ever touch Steve Downey against Dean McCammon.
No, that was unbelievable.
But this one last night was an old 2003 video.
Yeah, and everybody gets up in arms about it because that's how we are now. Right. Today's hockey fan is like, oh my God, can you believe that they did that? But you're right. 20 years ago, we would have been like, oh man, what a hit.
Yeah.
Did they give him a game misconduct?
Oh yeah. You got everything. Yeah, he'll be in front of the discipline committee for a month.
Yeah. I think that's. He's been thrown out of several games now. And he's probably going to get a lengthier suspension for that.
Chris S. says, wonder if Lavi gave great speeches to that Olympic team.
If it did, it didn't work that year.
Yes, that was a bad year for the U.S.
Yeah, they didn't have a good team.
We're playing with some jam in here. Let's go.
Yeah.
They didn't have much jam in Norway that year.
What is your memory from the '94 Olympics?
Losing in the shootout to Sweden.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
that was
the Forsberg
goal.
The hanging.
Yes, that's right. I forgot that was that year.
Yeah, I won a silver medal, lost in the shootout. So I was a young guy that I didn't play a whole ton in the Olympics, but it was a good experience. I'm glad I did it. And
that was Lillehammer, right?
Yeah, I still have that medal somewhere in a sock drawer at home.
Did you?
With all the other medals.
Did you have an attempt in the shootout?
Come on, kid.
No? Well, I'm asking because if it got to you somehow, what would have been your go-to move?
I would have buried it. It didn't matter. I just would have gone in.
Would have gone bar Mexico.
Yeah. What was Lillehammer like?
Beautiful little village.
Yeah.
Beautiful little village. Of course, Lillehammer that year was surrounded with the shadow and the ghosts of Tanya Harding and Nancy Kerrigan that year. I mean, it dominated everything.
Right.
So those were the 2 biggest memories I took from the Olympic Village and the beautiful little town of Norway. The opening ceremonies were surreal. It was really a neat experience. I'm glad I did it.
That's cool. That's really cool. I don't think I've ever asked you about that on this show, so I'm glad that we got a couple minutes on that. Pretty good. One thing we talked about pregame was the goaltending. We talked about Erson kind of getting out of position there, and then you talk about the mad scramble that happens. Bundy, and I don't want to seem overtly critical of Sam Erson because he's been solid for this team for the last 2 years. But plays like that, don't they seem to be a little bit more of a play that is more indicative of a guy who's probably an NHL backup as opposed to an NHL number one?
The goal?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're given the situation that they're given. But I think Erson, the more I watch him, I think there's some nights where he's really, really good. But I really do feel, and I think Torts kind of alluded to this, he needs one more stop a game. And maybe that's the difference between being a backup goalie and a starting goalie in the NHL. It probably is. It's probably one goal, and that's a lot. That's a lot at the end of the day. But he's got to make that extra save. And unfortunately for that first goal, it should not have gone in because it created a mass chaos with him overcommitting to his right side, and that allowed the play to develop behind the net.
It's interesting to point out, now you can't see this on the screen right now, right? But you hear a lot going on behind us. You hear some singing going on behind us. There's a large crowd that is gathered right in front of our broadcast location. And usually when we have a crowd here, it's for us, but not today. This crowd is all here because Lauren Hart is sitting with the organist right next to us singing Christmas music, and everybody is here filming.
Why didn't they ask us? We could have done it.
You and intern Andrew do a duet. That would have been great.
You didn't have to waste poor Lawrence time. She already belted out a song earlier. It's called the National Anthem.
Yeah. All right, it's time for intern Andrew's stat of the night.
Yes.
What do you got for us tonight, kid?
So as we wind down the end of the year 2024, worth noting that Travis Konecny in the calendar year 2024, meaning the end of last year and beginning of this year, has 74 total points, which is the most by a Flyer in a single calendar year since Couturier in 2019. He had 78. So worth noting, including tonight, he has 5 more games left in this calendar year.
Wow. That's a good pull by you.
It's a good pull. And
nice stat.
So do you want to take a stab at who in the entire NHL has the most in the calendar year 2024?
This year?
I'm going to say Nathan McKinnon.
It is McKinnon.
Is it McKinnon?
Yeah, he's leading the league now.
Well, I was going to, you know who I was going to guess? I was going to guess, what's his name?
Kucherov?
Yeah, Kucherov.
Yeah, it's McKinnon.
McKinnon. What do you got there?
So McKinnon is number 1 at 137, Kucherov 2, 132, McDavid 3, 129, and Konecny's all the way down at like 33, 74. But
still,
not too shabby.
That's a good pull by you.
I like that stat. That's
74 points, huh?
Yeah, and 73 games played.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, Konecny's a good player. I mean, he's been a good player.
I like him a lot.
He's having a good year.
But in fairness, so he plays hard. He's had a good year this year. But those are about the numbers he's going to hit.
Yeah.
He's about that. Like, I think the highest he's ever been before was 69 points.
Nice.
That sounds right.
68 or 69 points, I think, in a season. So
I'll see if I can find it.
Yeah. His career high in a season, I believe, was between 67 and 79. I don't think he's ever gotten to 70.
Well, so if he could stay healthy for an entire season and play all 82 games, can he be a point-per-game player?
He's close.
And if he can be, that's pretty darn good.
He had 68 last year.
68.
That was his high.
That was his high. So, I mean, that's... he's on pace to eclipse that. But, you could go into a drought, though, and not score a point for 4 games, and all of a sudden you're right back out of the, where you think your projected totals are going to be.
Kind of like Matvei Mishkov, who hasn't scored. This is his 5th game. Now, granted, it's only 1 period. But he has not scored a point in his previous 4.
Yeah, and that's part of what happens, right? Like when you talk, Danny said beginning of the year, how do you think Mishkov's year is going to go? And he said, I think he's going to have some tough spots in it. And he is. I mean, that's what happens. You're not going to score every night. It's going to be hard. Guys are going to figure you out a little bit. They're going to try to prey on your game. And one of the things that I think is interesting with a Mishkov is because he's a guy that has been so pivotal and so offensive for this team and get some huge goals that he's going to draw a lot of the opposition defensive play, and they're going to want to try to match up against him. So, yeah, he's getting a taste of it early in his career, just a 20-year-old, but he's seen a lot of different matchups.
Did you see anything out of Cam York there in the first period? We said Torts wanted to see a response from him in his first period back. I mean, there was nothing that really stood out to me. I was just curious if you saw anything in the way he played.
I thought he did a pretty decent job. I didn't notice him, and for a defenseman, that usually means I think he did a pretty good job.
Yeah, you know who I did notice, and not in a bad way? I thought Ristolainen had a solid period.
He had a solid period. Risto had a pretty good period. Yes, I do.
Kept a lot of pucks in at the point, on those couple of shifts that they were, deep in the Columbus territory. So I thought he had a solid game. I think he's still going to be the guy that the Flyers look to move at the deadline. I think you're going to get something. Risto,
yeah. Yeah, well, they're going to try to shed some salary out of it, and then if he keeps playing the way he is, you may not have to eat any of that.
Right, that's the thing. If he keeps it up, they might not have to eat that, 50% of that salary, which is pretty good. So, are we getting Lauren over here? I think so. I think she's coming over. Lauren Hart's going to come over now.
Hurry up. She's only got about a minute.
Yeah. Hey, Lauren. Oh, she doesn't have her headphones on yet.
Andrew, help her out
Put
down
the
there.
headphones on there.
Yeah.
Talking to the mic.
Hi, Lauren. How are you?
What's up?
Hi, I'm so excited I'm here with you
It's
guys.
I mean, we've had this show now for 6 years, and we've never had you on.
I know,
It's
you're famous.
This is a first.
Can I ask the first question?
Go right
Yes.
ahead.
Do I look as stupid as I feel?
You look amazing. Like, come on, look at the hat action.
I love it. I love it.
We've been trying to tell him that, Lauren. He looks great every year. He dresses up like that elf, and
Fabulous.
he does. Thank you.
My favorite movie, too, Elf. So,
That's
there you go.
fantastic. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So it was really cool that how did this come to be that you were up here singing first intermission? You weren't up here last year, so I kind of wanted to ask you.
Yeah, you know
came
what? Well, since the organ's come to town, and I love having the organ back in the arena,
Yeah.
Mike's
I
the
know
man.
he does like music at the end of the intermissions, and I said, I'll come up for Christmas. Let's just do a Christmas song, or two. And everybody was receptive, and so yeah, maybe this is our first annual.
Well,
right?
let's hopefully
that'd be great.
Hopefully you guys do it again. I know we only have like a minute here, Lauren,
That's
before
okay.
before the period starts. I just wanted to ask you, what year is this for you now?
Oh my,
Do you know?
20, and then 20. So more than 20.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
more than 20 because I was playing
More
and you
than
were singing.
20.
And I've been out.
24 and 26 years.
26 years.
Yeah, can you believe that?
That's crazy.
That is insane.
Do you remember your first time you sang?
I remember my first time in this building, and I remember my first time in the other building.
Yeah. What was the first time in the other building? You were young
I
then,
was
right?
really young. I was like junior high school and terrified. And
Wow.
I did it a couple of times. And but I was into music, and I had my career, and I went away for a long time. And I wanted to come back and be with the family. And I sang here one of the first nights when the Wells Fargo, what it was called at the time.
It was the Core State
Core
Center,
States,
right?
yeah. And
Yeah.
they were honoring Dad for the Hall of Fame induction.
Right.
And they said, he'll walk you out. That would be a really nice tribute. Would you do the anthem? I said, yeah. And they're like, would you come back for every game? And I said, yeah. And that was it.
That was it, and you've just done it ever since.
I've done it ever since.
Done it ever
So
since.
be honest with us.
Yes.
Have you ever messed up the anthem?
I haven't. Only one time when they changed the Canadian anthem lyrics.
Oh, that's right. That was a few
They
years
changed
ago,
it to
right?
all
All of
my
us?
Sons.
Yeah.
Yes, to all of us. And I sang it right for like 2 or 3 times, and then the 4th time I just had a brain fart. And just,
So our other co-host, Russ, is not here, but I believe he's fluent in French, so maybe he can coach you. You can do "O Canada" in French.
I know. Well, I do know it in French.
You do know.
Do you?
And
Okay.
many people have asked me to sing it in French, but I sing it for Philly, yo.
You should sing it in French when Montreal comes.
Yeah, if Montreal, yeah. But
Yeah.
I thought I might scare people if I broke out
I
into
think it
French.
would be.
That would
I
be-
think it would be great.
That would be really cool, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's a definite possibility.
We'll start the campaign.
the campaign is on. All
For that. The
right.
campaign is
I'm
on.
open.
Lauren Hart, thank
We're
you.
back in
We
action.
got
Thanks,
we got to
Lauren.
roll because the game's on. Thank you for
Game's
joining us
on.
here.
Love you guys.
Thanks,
Thanks, Lauren. Appreciate you.
All right. The Press Row Show is back. This is the #1 rated pregame, intermission, and postgame show this side of the Mississippi, south of the Arctic Circle, and north of the equator. And boys, I'll let you decide where you want to start. We can either go with the Lixell goal that got waved off because of the challenge for the offside, or we can go with the Blue Jackets' second goal that was set up by a god-awful giveaway by Ursa behind the net. Where do you want to go?
I want to start there because this is just what I feel like is a...
Forgot my hat.
Yeah. What I feel like is a carryover from the first period, Bundy. Like we were talking about, goalies can't make mistakes, in net. And you also can't make a mistake behind the net, right? If you're going to play the puck behind the net, you can't throw it into a guy.
You got to go back with authority, and you have to know what you're going to do with the puck before you go back. You can't just go back for the sake of going back, because what happens is you end up getting in the way. And that's 2 times now that he's been in the way. That's resulted in 2 Columbus goals and ultimately a 2-0 lead. In every game.
Right? And he's just... It's plays like that. It doesn't necessarily have to be the save per se, but make the smart play as the goalie too.
That's correct.
Right? It kind of fills the same void. As for the Lixell goal that got overturned, I'll tell you what, and I said this to you
right away.
I said, hell of a call by the video coach of the Columbus Blue Jackets. To see that and to say challenge it, because it was as close as it could be. And they got it right. There was
white between the.
Yeah, they did get it right. But my goodness, to make the call as quick as they did.
Yeah.
That's good video coach work. Right
Excellent
there.
job by the video coach getting that done that quickly. And usually when you get a call that quick, they're pretty sure about it.
Yeah.
Right? Like because they don't want to go on the power play. If you're wrong on it, you're shorthanded again, and that gives the Flyers a chance to tie it at 2. So. That's excellent video work. That guy earned his money today, and as a result, the Columbus Blue Jackets have a 2-0 lead heading into the intermission. Flyers, again, they're disjointed. They have some guys that are going, and they have some guys that aren't going, and it's awfully hard to make up hay when you're trying to figure out who those guys are. The coach put the lines in a blender.
Except for the one. He kept Cates' line together.
Well, they should, because they've been solid. But the rest of the lines went into a blender, and he's trying to find some chemistry. The one line they had at the end, who was it, Anthony? It's not a laughing thing. It was Konechny, Mishkov,
and Frost.
Yeah. That ain't going to give you a whole lot of defensive prowess.
And it was funny because we were saying how Columbus was not having a good period in their own end. Then you put those 3 guys together out there, and there was instantly a turnover and a rush the other way, and it was like, that's not a good combination. Those 3 together, you're hoping you're getting some offense there, but it certainly just changed the momentum. Like, at least the other lines were getting pressure and sustaining things in the offensive end, and you hope you get a break. Look, Merzlikins made a couple of nice saves in that period to keep Columbus ahead, because ultimately, I thought the Flyers were probably the better of the 2 teams in the second period.
I agree. I think the Flyers have actually been the better of the 2 teams, but Columbus has just capitalized on the 2 errors that the Flyers made.
Yeah.
They had some other they have not had a lot of chances, Columbus. Like, there's not been a whole lot going on in the offensive zone. I think they have 15 shots. Philadelphia's got 16 on the game.
Yeah.
But Columbus doesn't feel like they've had a lot of threats with any of those 15 shots.
No, and that's the thing. It's just kind of, I can understand this being a frustrating watch tonight, because if you're watching it, you're sitting there going, how are they not scoring against this Columbus team with the sustained pressure that they've had? They had it early in the first period, kind of got away from it in the second half of the first period, but then I felt like they had it most of the second period, and they're just not getting, they've had, Noah Cates missed the net from the slot. Like, I don't know how you missed the net from that close. Owen Tippett missed the net on a shot.
He was point blank.
Point blank, missed the net. So, like, they have had opportunities and just haven't taken advantage of them.
Yeah, and that's part of the problem. And that's why they're a team that's in a rebuild. They're trying to figure out their juice. And we've said this before. We know who they are, but they do struggle at times to get the offense going.
Yeah.
It's not like no rhyme or reason for it. They need players.
Yeah.
And that's the bottom line.
And look, and I know, look, a lot of our fans are very frustrated right now, and I get it, right? And
They're not happy.
and nor should you be happy if you're looking at this and saying this is not acceptable hockey. You're right; it's not acceptable hockey. But if you're able to step back from your looking at this game in the vacuum of just this game, and any of these games, these last 4, you're able to step back and look at it and say, this is why you're in a multi-year rebuild, because you just don't have the players. You don't have the talent right now. And it manifests itself at times, and you've seen it in the last 4 games especially manifest itself at times that lead to losses.
Can I ask a question real fast? I know that you guys you moved away from it, but I want to circle back to that challenge for the offsides.
Yeah.
I'm curious, Bundy, what your stance is on that rule, just because that rule didn't exist when you were playing, that you could challenge for an offsides.
I think it's a great rule.
Okay.
I do. I mean, if you know it's an offside and you're on the team that was scored on and it was offside, I think you absolutely have the right. And it would work the other way for the Flyers too, right? Like, there's 2 teams on the ice, so.
But I'll tell you what I don't like about the rule.
Okay.
I don't like the fact that you get a penalty if you challenge it. It's almost like a deterrent to challenge. Unless you really know, unless it's clear that your challenge is going to be successful. Like if there's something that you don't have exact evidence, but but maybe we don't have great video, you're not going to challenge it because you don't want to be shorthanded, right?
Then change the rule then make it a 1-minute power play. Something stupid. Like, I mean, they've already put enough rules in. What's going to change in one rule? Like
I just don't like penalizing a team for challenging.
But then what happens is, Anthony, is if a team does challenge and it's like it's mediocre and you're just challenging, you're wasting 3 to 5 minutes of real time looking over it.
So you can challenge multiple times in a game because you can, make it like the NFL.
Right.
You have one challenge, and if you get it right, then you can get a second one.
Right.
If you get it wrong, you're not allowed to challenge the rest of the game.
I like that.
Right. To me, that's the better penalty.
Yeah.
Right. Than to say, okay, you wasted our time, so now you got to be shorthanded.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's a deterrent to challenging. So I don't know. If you have the video capability, use it to get it right. Don't say ha ha ha, you got it wrong, so now we're going to penalize you. I think that's what I don't like about it.
But overall, I like the rule. I like the rule. That was offside, and if that should be the call because it was no goal. It was an offside.
I'm curious. Do you remember any specific instance when you were playing where you guys gave up a goal and you were like, well, they were clearly offside?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And there's nothing you can do about it.
Right.
You didn't even talk about it. You're like, you go to the bench, be like, what the F? Like, that was offside, and the coach would come give you a pat and go, oh, that was offside, Bundy. That was the wrong call, but you know what happened.
But you get a minus all the same.
You get a minus all the same, yeah.
Well, you see, Andrew, you're too young to remember, and this is even before Bundy's time, but the all-time offside play is in the 1980 Stanley Cup final when Leon Stickle misses and the Islanders being offside. The Flyers actually just stopped playing because it was so blatantly offside, and Islanders scored
Stanley
game
Cup winner.
Well, that was a tying goal, and then the Cup winner is in overtime.
Yeah.
They ended up winning 4 in a row at that point, right? The Islanders?
Yes.
Yeah.
80 to 84, yeah.
So that was the all-time. You should pull up that video at the start of the 3rd period.
Okay.
Give yourself something.
Maybe I'll center a trivia question around that. Well, it sounds like you already know it. So.
Well, you might be able to find something in there that's kind of good
you
for
have
you.
a trivia tonight, don't you?
Yeah,
I do.
You want to throw it out at us?
Sure.
All right, let's do it. Trivia time with intern Andrew.
So I think we got to talk about this.
Okay.
Flyers in 2012, I guess, made the decision that they were going to roll with Ilya Bryzgalov to be the starting goaltender going forward, and they trade Sergei Bobrovsky to the Columbus Blue Jackets.
Okay.
And then, so his first season in Columbus was the lockout-shortened season in 12-13.
Yep.
But in spite of all that, he still had 21 wins that year, a 2.00 goals against average, and a .932 save percentage, and he ends up winning the Vezina. Who finished second and third in voting that year?
What year was it again?
12-13 season. One Eastern Conference, one Western Conference.
I don't know if Tim Thomas was still around.
No. Rask was the Bruins goalie, but it's not him.
Yeah, I remember. Well, but 2011 was the year Thomas won the Cup, and he was just unbelievable. So I didn't know if he had another year in him.
I think that was LA's beginning of LA's run, right?
Jonathan Quick.
No.
So it wasn't Jonathan Quick?
No, the Kings did not win the Cup that year.
Oh, they won the year before.
12?
They won the year. No, it was 12-13 he's talking about.
Oh, okay.
It was the shortened season. He's right. It wasn't that year. The Kings won the year before.
They did, yeah.
Yeah.
They won after Boston.
Yeah. So who won the Cup in 13? That shortened season.
I'll save you the thing. It's not the Blackhawks goalie.
Anybody want to give us the answer? Who won the Stanley
Oh,
Cup?
it was just Chicago?
Oh,
Blackhawks.
it was the Blackhawks.
Yeah.
They beat Boston again.
Yeah.
It's not.
that's right.
It's not Crawford though.
So it's
But
not Crawford.
The Blackhawks had that insane start to the year. They went like 20-something games without losing a game in regulation that year.
Yeah.
So the two second and third place finishers,
Yeah.
right? Doesn't matter.
The
what order.
Western Conference guy is a little bit tougher. The Eastern Conference guy, you should get no problem. He's a Hall of Famer for sure.
Well, Henrik Lundqvist.
It's Hank.
Yeah.
He was second.
What about Anaheim's goalie then? He had a really good year sometime around there. John Gibson?
It's not Gibson.
He wasn't even there then.
It's not
I don't
Jonas
think.
Hiller either.
Western
Gibson
or Eastern Conference?
Western Conference.
Western Conference.
Say this. Same state.
Oh, was it Luongo?
No.
Oh, okay.
Same state as the Ducks.
Oh, San Jose. Who was San Jose?
Nabokov?
Nabokov?
No.
He was gone by then, right?
Anaheim, L.A., and San Jose.
Who the hell else is in California?
It's the Sharks, but you got the wrong goalie.
Okay. So it had to be San Jose.
Oh, you know what? Is it the guy that ended up going to L.A. or he was in L.A.? If you say his name, he ended up going to San Jose. It might have been later than that, though. It was an L.A. goalie.
I don't think he ever played for the Kings.
Did he play for Chicago? Anthony
Niemi.
Yeah.
I'm going to say he has a very particular tie to the Flyers. He
Yes.
beat us in the Cup final in 2010.
Yeah, he played for Chicago.
But just going back to the Bobrovsky trade, it really does sting when you think about it that since he's been traded from here, he's won a Vezina, he's won a Stanley Cup, and this past October he became the fastest goaltender in NHL history to get to 400 wins.
Yeah.
That's just, they kind of fumbled the bag with that one.
They certainly did, but that was on Mr. Ed.
That was nothing to do with Bob or
Yeah.
anybody else.
Yeah.
Mr. Snyder wanted a goalie that had all the numbers written next to him, and he didn't have to worry about it anymore. And, that's what you try to do for your franchise, but it was the wrong call.
Yeah, it was certainly the wrong call, but it was Ed had become really impatient because if you remember the playoff year before, that's when they had the three goalies all played. You had Bush played, you had Leighton played, and you had Bobrovsky played, and they were all terrible.
Yeah.
It was against they played Buffalo. They actually won the first series in 7 games against Buffalo, and then they lost in the second round. They got swept by Boston.
Yes.
Right?
That was an ugly series.
Right. And so that was, and Snyder was just livid, absolutely livid about the goaltending situation, that they couldn't find a goalie. Because he was of the mindset that they were a goalie away from being a Cup team. And he might not have been wrong, but it was also the last year that they had Richards and Carter.
Pronger got hurt.
Pronger got hurt, right? I mean, there was a lot of things that had to change at that summer.
What was Danny's last year here?
It was after that. Because
2 years later.
Yeah, it's like 14.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, I think 14 was his last year here. So that because of all that, Snyder insisted that they go out and get the best goalie free agent, and that's what happened.
Yeah.
And they obviously couldn't keep Bobrovsky as a backup.
Right.
Right. So that's what ended up happening. So that was on the chairman. That was not on the general manager.
No.
But there is a good amount of trade history with the Flyers and Blue Jackets. So you figure like Carter and Voracek both were trades with the Blue Jackets, right?
That was the same. No, it wasn't the same trade. 2 different trades.
Yeah.
Or was it the same trade? It was the same trade.
Oh, it was?
Carter got them Voracek and the pick that became Couturier.
Couturier, that's correct.
Yeah, it was.
I didn't even look into that.
Yes, it was Voracek and the pick that became Couturier
What a trade that was.
for Jeff. Jeff Carter was a good player.
One to win 2 cups too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a good trade with Columbus.
Yeah.
Columbus then traded Carter to L.A.
And then he won. Yeah.
Yeah, and he wins the Stanley Cup there.
Reunited with Richards there. I remember
Right.
that. Yeah.
And look, the Richards trade, they got Braden Shen and Wayne Simmons. I think both of those trades were good trades.
They were. Yeah.
They just didn't work. It just didn't work out, but they were both individually good trades.
Yeah.
When you think about it. So
return on investment was not bad, definitely.
no, definitely not. They made good deals. Those were good deals for both teams. Well, wasn't a good deal for Columbus, but it was a good deal for the Kings because Richards helped them win a Stanley Cup.
Yeah, and then Carter went there too and did it ultimately. Yeah, I mean, they ended up getting players there. It was. Yeah, I mean, I think Richards, if you can, I don't know. I hate what ifs.
Yeah.
But I felt like Richards was one of those guys that, like, winning just followed him around for some reason.
It did. It went everywhere he went.
Everywhere he went, he won. So, I mean, again, was he able to figure out here? I don't know.
Well, they got close.
They did.
They got close here.
Yeah.
You know, if they had a goalie that year, they would have won.
Might have been interesting. Chicago was the better team.
Certainly.
There's no doubt about that.
Certainly was. But if they had a real goalie, they're, you know, and that's Michael Leighton was on a nice run for them during that playoff, but he got exposed by the Blackhawks. If they had a real goalie there, if they had a puncher's chance.
Yeah.
At one point during that playoff run, I think Leighton had like 7 consecutive scoreless periods.
Yeah, that was against Montreal.
Game 7 against the Bruins, and then the first 2 games against the Canadiens.
Yeah.
Montreal Flyers. A lot of things fell into the Flyers' lap that year.
Yeah.
Playing Montreal, who was just brutal. I thought they were the 8th seed. The Flyers were the 7th seed
versus the 8th seed.
I think that's the only time that's ever happened.
Yeah, ever. And the Flyers had home ice in the conference finals.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Well, we got a third period coming here, and guys, you know, in about 45 minutes, if the Flyers can't figure this out and they don't get some help from Toronto, who is trailing the New York Islanders, in about 45 minutes, the Flyers could be in last place in the Metro Division, which is kind of crazy considering, what, a week ago they were in a playoff spot?
They were in a playoff spot a week ago, but you can't lose 4 in a row and expect to stay in the playoff.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So they got, I mean, listen, it's not over yet. They just need to get 1 goal. I thought they had the 1 goal with Lixell, but it was offside, as we talked about. And now the Flyers are going to be up against the first few minutes of this game. They really need to come out with their pants on fire here. Like, I mean, turn it up, get a nasty hard forecheck going, and go in and try to make Columbus's life miserable. Flyers have been good at times, and they've been too passive at times. So pour it all in, dump it into this 20 minutes, and see what happens.
So you think
Columbus doesn't have a great, they're not pouring it on tonight by any stretch.
So you think like the first 5 minutes are important?
Yeah, of course they are. They're always important, especially when you're down 2-0.
Next goal wins.
I'd like to say that, but I'll say this. If Columbus scores 1 more, this game's over.
Yeah, for sure. That's for sure. Well, guys, we'll be back post-game. Bundy and I.
We got to get Anthony to a party.
It will be a short post-game. Unlike Russ, I staying till the end, but I do have to get to make an appearance at a Christmas party tonight. So I told them I'd be there by 10:30. So we'll do a short post.
Russ, as we said earlier, me and Anthony figured out, Russ is the only man in America to have ever had kids.
Only one.
Only guy to ever have kids.
It's amazing.
Well, good.
Great job, Russ. Good job, man. Way to go, little guy.
All right.
We'll see you
post game. Back on the ice. We'll talk to you in a bit. All right. We're back in the Press Row Show. Post game for this thrilling win over the Blue Jackets in overtime, 5-4. After 40 minutes of play, I think we all thought that this was going to be a pretty dreadful game to watch. 6 goals scored between the two teams in the third period. Owen Tippett gets the overtime winner for the Flyers with a minute and a half to go in the overtime. This is the 5th game this season that the Flyers have won when trailing entering the third period. Bundy, what do you think about the Flyers' third there?
Great third period. I mean, it was a great way to win the hockey game. They never gave up. They do this all the time. I mean, they get stuck down in games. They come back. They muster up a lot of times. I mean, you got to give this team credit. I thought Columbus played a pretty good hockey game too. I mean, they're not a great team, but they did play well, and it's a formidable win for the Flyers to come back down 2-0. They tied it 2-2. Columbus goes 3-2. Then Flyers tie it again on Morgan Frost, who ended up with 2 goals in that period. Columbus goes 4-3. Then the Flyers tie it again 4-4. And then they end up winning the game in overtime on Owen Tippett.
They had 3 separate game-tying goals in that third period alone.
They did. They don't give up. And I don't like the process of doing it like this, because I know how hard it is to come from behind, and you just can't play a whole season just coming back like this every single night. It's hard. It's difficult. But I'll give them credit tonight. It was an exciting game. Glad to see them pull off the big victory here, division win. And it keeps them out of the cellar in the Metro.
Not in last place, right?
Anybody pick this one 5-4 tonight, Flyers?
I think it was you, Bundy.
I didn't even think of that.
It was you who had 5-4 Flyers.
That's
it was a 2-0 going into the third, and I get the 5-4.
And you ended up with a 5-4 victory.
That's your first 2-pointer of the season, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Because you were the only one who had one before tonight.
Yes, I had 2 actually. So.
I needed it because I was just brutal, and you guys all lost tonight, so I needed.
No. We all picked the Flyers.
Oh, we all picked the Flyers, right? I
you get the
bonus
extra
point.
You gained an extra point. Congratulations. There you go.
There you go.
I also think there may be something to be said about this team. They're now tied with the Flames for most games that have gone to either overtime or the shootout. That's 12 now that they've played before they even got into the Christmas break.
That's a ton of games, man.
Ton of minutes.
It's a lot of bonus time. It's a lot of extra minutes to play during the year.
They have. Here's another one for you, Bundy. They've now, this season, in games that they've trailed after 2 periods, come back to win 5 of them and got 1 overtime loss as well. So 6 games they've registered points when trailing after 2 periods.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. That's incredible.
That's pretty impressive.
That's like a season. That's what I'm saying is, like, the process to do that. I mean, you can't do that every night. And they do. Like, I mean, I keep saying it. Like, how many more times are they going to just fall behind? They don't show for a little while, and they all of a sudden, like, oh, we're down 2 goals. Let's start playing. Don't make me mistaken by saying this is like Vegas, where they can just turn on their. I'm just using them as an example.
Yeah.
They're not a team, and I think other teams get too lax playing the Flyers. Like, they think, oh, we got a 2-goal lead. We're just playing the Flyers.
Yeah.
And honest to God, I think that factors into it. But there has to be a reason why this team has come back at an incredible pace. Because, I mean, I've seen teams that when they're losing after the third period, let's say they're down 30 times entering the third period. I don't know. They're usually 1-29 in those games.
Yeah.
Like, Flyers are winning games, 6 games already. That is unheard of.
5 wins in what is it? This is their 33rd game, I think, or 34th game.
That's crazy. Just still crazy. To have those numbers. Yeah.
That means if you stay on this pace, you're probably going to have 11 come from behind.
Here's the bad side to it.
Yeah.
They've mustered up a lot of magic in that. If they don't, they're last place in the NHL.
Yeah, I think so.
Or clutch. What can you say?
They're last place in the NHL without those without getting the come from behind points.
Yeah. By the way, this was only the 3rd game that the Blue Jackets have lost all season when leading after 40 minutes.
And all of them in overtime.
All of them, they still haven't lost in regulation.
They haven't lost in regulation.
Those are backbreakers when you do that.
Yeah.
When you lose in regulation when you have a 3rd period lead. But
our goal is to have Anthony at the party by 10:30.
Okay.
Yeah, which means that we have to be out of here in 7 minutes.
Sorry, guys. Short pregame
right.
tonight, but Anthony sucked it up like other members of our team have done. We show up at work. We stay till the end.
Yeah.
If we can't stay till the end, there's a good reason why.
You drove 8 hours Thursday to be here.
For game time.
For game time.
Yep. I left early in the morning.
You left, but you stayed through the 2nd period for that.
For the intermission, and
give you a ton of credit for that. You know, my wife is sitting at my high school reunion's Christmas party.
Well, then
without me.
We're getting you out of here soon, buddy.
Okay.
We're going to get you out of here soon.
So she's sitting there without me. And where's Russ?
Russ
He's drinking eggnog.
The only man who ever had children, Joy. Russ, the only dad in America, Joy, is left. He couldn't wait to get it. First of all, he shows up literally 3 seconds before the show. 3 seconds.
He did the broad jump over the velvet ropes
We
here.
never saw him. We never discussed a plan for pregame. Nothing, right? So we had to carry the show again like we always do. And, Russ will sit there and mope a little bit about the fact he had to leave. But no, you know what, Anthony? He stayed here. He's at a high school reunion Christmas party. He's missing it to do this. We just killed 2 more minutes with
All
that
right.
little.
I love you guys.
Well, here's the thing, Bundy. I have one positive, one negative, and then one macro question for the Flyers as a whole, and then we'll get out of here.
All right.
Positive, I think we have to say Morgan Frost, who got off the mat because we talked about him in first intermission. He had the bad penalty. He had the turnover on the Blue Jackets' first goal. 2 enormous goals for Frost in the third period. Do you think overall this was a good game for him?
I think anytime Morgan Frost scores goals and shows his worth, I think is a good game.
Scores against the bad teams. He's got 7 goals in his last 7 games against Columbus.
They count all the same. But yeah, okay. So win for Bill Meltzer tonight, right? Frost a multi-goal game, multi-goal period.
I mean, I'll give him credit. I mean, Frost is against the 8-ball all the time. He's fighting so many wars down there. You have no idea. He's fighting. It's playing time. He's fighting the coach. He's fighting his own emotions. Making a mistake. Does he make a mistake? Does he come out of the game? I mean, believe me, he's got a lot of wars going on in his own mind and with the coach at times. There's no doubt about that. So he gets 2 goals. I mean, good for Morgan Frost tonight. He was there, Johnny on the doorstep, and I'll give him a lot of credit. The Flyers don't win this game tonight if it's not for Morgan Frost getting those 2 goals.
So the one negative I had, I think it's the elephant in the room. Everyone's in the comments about it. Jamie Drysdale was a -3 tonight. It's just not been his year. I believe of the 6 Flyers,
His career.
Well, he's still young. Of those 6 Flyers defensemen tonight, he was 5th in time on the ice. Sealer was the only one who had fewer minutes.
And Sealer didn't have a good game either. Let's be honest.
Well, they were on for they were on for every goal I counted. They were on for all 4 of the Columbus goals, so they must have had one that they were on for to take away the minus.
But okay, so maybe. That, by the way, Sealer had more time on the ice than. I'm sorry, Drysdale had more time on the ice than Sealer did, but that includes 2.5 minutes of power play time that Drysdale had. Sealer did not have any power play time. So
and I don't
5-on-5 hockey.
Sealer never saw the ice in the overtime.
Nor did Drysdale, I don't think.
No, Sealer wouldn't. Excuse me, Drysdale. Sealer's not going to play in the 3-on-3. But Drysdale didn't see it either.
Yeah, he didn't play in the 3-on-3. So 5-a-side hockey, he's not playing a whole lot either. I think Torch he's catching on that maybe he's just not it. So. Do you think that maybe that this is just who he is, or are you still holding out hope that he's a 22-year-old kid, maybe he can turn it around?
You can't give up on a 22-year-old this quick. But you would have hoped to have seen some development with him.
Just some strides forward.
And you're not getting
it, I haven't seen a stride forward with him since he's gotten here. I really haven't. Not being hard on him, I'm just being a realist.
Yeah.
And considering Brad Shaw is pretty good with defensemen, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like that's why it's concerning, because you have a coach, an assistant coach who works with defensemen, gets the best out of guys. I mean, we've seen a number of guys who've come in here. Maybe some of them are a little bit more seasoned than Jamie Drysdale is, but you see them improve under Shaw. Drysdale has not improved at all under Shaw, and that's a concern on the player more so than the coach.
Okay.
Yeah, and eventually, I mean, like you can't go forever like this, right? Like and they won't. They'll find another option eventually if he doesn't find a way to find a groove, or they'll move him again. And that's the other thing.
So the last thing that I wanted to mention, this was the Flyers on the macro sense. Last year, I went back and looked, and the funny thing is, the Flyers' last home game of 2024 was also on December 21st last year. And then we had our Christmas break because the Flyers had the road trip. They had a 5-game road trip and ended up going 1-2-2. It was 4 points out of a possible 10. So now, again, December 21st, as we go into 2025, they have a 6-game road trip coming up, 12 possible points. What are you predicting and or expecting in terms of how many points that they get on this road trip?
Well, I mean, if you can go 500, if there's how many games are they on the road?
6.
If they can get 6 points out of that, I think that's a.
Well, here are your opponents: Pittsburgh, who's not good;
No.
Anaheim, who's not good;
No.
L.A., who is good;
Yeah.
San Jose,
Not good.
who's not good; Vegas, who's good; and Toronto, who's good. So you got to beat the 3 bad teams, and you figure you lose to the 3 good teams, and you get your 6 points.
Yeah, but it never goes like that.
But I'm saying that's how you get your 6 points,
It
right?
never goes like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, listen, do the Flyers need 10 they're not going to get it. I don't think. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they go out and they just dominate the West. But I
Be a
don't
hell
think
of a road trip.
I don't think they're getting 10 out of 12 points. But I mean, that would be incredible. But that's what they need. But I think 6 when you go on a nasty, hard, long road trip. I think if you can get half the points, that's pretty good.
All right. Well, that's all I had. If you want to get out of here.
Anthony, Merry Christmas.
yeah,
Andrew, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Bundy. Merry Christmas, Andrew.
Merry Christmas to all our fans. Who
Every
love
one of you.
Every single
Thank
one
you,
of
every one of you. We appreciate everything you do. I would say Merry Christmas to Russ, but he's not here. We will see you. It'll be a bit before we're back here. We're not back for a game until January the 7th.
Might have a show, though,
But I think we'll have a show before then. Yeah. So you're not going to say, Merry Christmas, Michael. Have a good one. Thank you.
Great
Yes.
job on that
So
organ, brother.
January 7th will be the next time we're back here for the Press Row Show. We will have a Snow the Goalie before then. But to everyone out there, you and yours, happy holidays. And we hope everybody gets everything that they want here at Hanukkah, Christmas.
Hanukkah is the same day as Christmas this year.
Yeah, it is.
I
It's
heard
rare
that, yeah.
that it happens that way. But, hopefully you get everything under the tree, or I don't know where they put them for Hanukkah. Do they put them around the menorah? Is that how it works? I don't know.
I'm not of the Jewish faith. So
Well, I thought maybe
don't
you
know.
might have some insight. I don't know.
No.
No, okay. All right, whatever.
Feliz Navidad.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Happy Kwanzaa and Happy Hanukkah.
Yeah. And we'll see you in the new year, guys.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Beat Boise State New Year's Eve. See ya.